So what this interface really is first of all, that sensor library that you see on our site, purchase any of those devices and you can activate them within this app immediately. And we white label the app, your logo, your colors, run it on your domain. So it becomes your product. But within seconds, you can add an air quality sensor, a vibration sensor, tank level, all of these different sensors. And I can see the data, right? I can validate, okay, I'm getting air quality readings. That's what I expected. And okay, signal strength is good. So it's close enough to the gateway and battery life is full. Okay, everything's good here. But if I wanted to do things like change how often the device is sending readings, I can go into the device settings section and I can do that right from here. I want to send readings every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, whatever it is. Not having to go into each individual configuration app per sensor, it's all done in a single portal. I can also do things like identify the use case for this sensor. So this one is actually a vibration sensor. And if I go into the resources, you'll see a little bit more about what it is and how it works and all of that. But in short, it's a magnetic sensor that goes on to a motor that can get the vibration readings for predictive maintenance. If you want to see it visually, this is the out-of-the-box dashboard that we provide. So based on the vibration readings, we know if it's unacceptable or we know if it's good. And there's a key part of this, which is the class machine. So if I go back into the settings for this sensor, I can actually I can tell the sensor, hey, we're putting you on a class 4 large soft foundation machine. And why that's important is because that chart that you saw over here, these ranges in terms of what's unacceptable and what's good are different depending on what type of machine that vibration sensor is going on. So being able to just go into a single app to modify those configurations quickly, within seconds, I've purchased the sensor, it's been delivered, I've turned it on, I see the data, and now I've tweaked it to say, okay, this is good data. It's clean, it's valuable, it makes sense. You can do the same thing with tank level monitoring as another example, right? I've added a tank level sensor. Here it is. This one is really interesting, right? I'll go into the device settings for this sensor as well. I can tell the sensor, hey, you're a level sensor. And first of all, I want you to send readings every 30 minutes. But most importantly, I am going to put you on a vertical trash bin or tank that's cylindrical and that is 100 inches tall. And the sensor is sitting 5 inches over the top of the tank. All of those values are plugged in so that when we not only show the data, but send it to the APIs, which I'll show you in a second, but it's 6.4%, 7.7%. So we've taken a sensor, which if you were to buy from the manufacturer through standard distribution, it's a brick, essentially. That's what it is. You have to program it, update the firmware, do all this stuff that I'm showing you. You have to do programmatically, right? We've taken it, you turn it on, you scan it in, you see the data, you change some drop downs to match what you're trying to do. And now you're looking at it and saying, okay, yeah, this is accurate. This is good. And now you're ready to feed the data into its end destination. And we've got all these different options and ways to do it. You can feed it into S3, IoT Hub, Google BigQuery, PubSub, feed it over MQTT. You can send it over webhook, right? So we've got all these different ways. And then there's a full-on REST API as well, which I'll show in a sec, that allows you to do even deeper levels of integration. But in its base form, you would open up, let's say, a webhook, and then you would feed the data to some URL. If you need to transform the data further, you could do that to match how the data needs to be formatted for your system or whatever. But basically, you've now gone full end to end. You've identified a project, you've come to us and said, here's what we need to do. We've said, here's the sensors for it. You've turned them on, you've validated the data, you've tweaked the configurations to create the perfect templated solution. And now you're feeding that clean data into a work ticketing system, an energy management system, whatever. But the data that's being fed in is not just analog data coming off the sensor. It's enhanced valuable data like 72% full, or the door's been opened 32 times, or the energy used total last hour, last 24 hours, or even average bill amount, right? You can take sensor data and add formulas on it to get a bill amount or a carbon credit amount, right? That's something that's been really common lately. All of these different things. So when you feed it into whatever platform it's going to, the data is enriched and valuable.